For most of my early life, I was a journalist of one sort or another. What I believe happened is at some point in 2005, when I came to Texas, Texas did something with my efforts to apply for and begin working in a capital defense law firm in Houston that was a nonprofit. And that at some point during the 6 months I worked there, they used my identity, perhaps even payroll records having to do with taxation and or the lease that I had on the apartment I lived in. And they hooked up a bunch of derivatives on my life and began swapping me out with somebody else. Specifically, I believe they took elements of my life and my partner's life at the time and swapped out elements of our life with the lives of other people they had courted for particular higher political office. And my life and his life have been impacted ever since. Included in that were development of biometric accounts using our data that have been allegedly connected to security or even homeland security matters, but have also been used to harvest us for R&D for, among other things, weapons and bioweapons companies. At some point, it became opportune politically to have me designated with a mental illness, even though I expressed that I had cognizance that I was being engaged in some form of use or testing for what I identified as a ultrasonic technology or a vibrational technology that was trying to subliminally communicate with me and get me to agree to commit crimes and that I had already committed crimes. I now understand that there is various kinds of infrasonic technology that can put unconscious implants based on having a lower or different frequency, and that these implants can later be triggered to impact people's behavioral patterns and can also impact people's neuroregeneration while they're sleeping and influence their dreaming and have a specific kind of impact on people that are capable of lucid dreaming for whatever reason, including if they have some sort of special spiritual gift or are a specifically kind of spiritually in tune person based on either their culture or some other kind of legacy that they have. It became politically opportune for somebody else to characterize me as having a disability as opposed to somebody that could be courted or could be engaged as a cognizable interest in being responsible for addressing potential public health, public safety, national security, and international security matters related to the development and rollout of various kinds of technologies, including technologies involved with ultrasound, including technologies involved with magnetic resonance, including technologies involved with radio frequency or electromagnetic radio frequency, and including technologies that are part of processes of cybernetically enhancing people. Somebody else made that decision, and it would appear that whoever the primary interests were people outside of the United States or people who intended to take it outside of the United States in order to make money from it and then provide some form of incentive or kickback to whoever it was in the United States that had intentionally mischaracterized me and allowed for the exportation of my intangible property. This is how I understand it now. It has accrued, it has accumulated. I could look at the federal budget, I can track the appropriations, I have. I can look at it from an organized crime perspective and identify patterns of racketeering and identify moments that demonstrate a commitment to engage a criminal contract. I have. I can listen to people that were actually in public office, legitimately elected, that despite whatever political party affiliation they have, were trying to educate the public and provide us with information we needed to engage in a responsible civic participation, and then evaluate policy and policy implementation and its ramifications in accordance with the understanding that these were people that were qualified professionals. I have. I can protest when I'm actually attempting to engage in access to a resource and somebody's trying to get me to engage in either illegal activity or something that I find morally offensive. And I did for years. Those were all also options. And having those acknowledged and having a successful resolution to those options also create futures. And they also create security. And they also create moments of securitization. The question is, who gets to be acknowledged? Whose paper is worth what and goes where? To take my life and to take my efforts and to launder them through a broken bureaucracy that defaults on its surety when it refuses to issue me a closeout report is not an appropriate substitute for civic participation. Stealing my life and lying about the financial commitment you engaged me in so that you could find a justification for laundering millions and billions of dollars of illegal assets that were seized under the auspices of law enforcement so that they could be repackaged and repurposed with a different demographic profile to be made available to people you've already courted for future political office is not a substitute for sound fiscal policy. Launching a biological attack on your people or on people in other parts of the world as part of a predetermined social engineering, ethnic cleansing, urban renewal or urbanization plan as part of a political paradigm aimed at concentrating wealth and resources into the nomenclatura of a few families or enterprises is not acceptable.